Welcome to episode 4 of our Creator Kids YouTube channel. Today I'd like to look at the term that can send fear or optimism into your life. Those two words, artificial intelligence. Now, when I work with teachers around Australia and also talking with kids as well, one of the key things is trying to get an understanding of what artificial intelligence is about. Now, it is quite a complex area, but I try and simplify it just so that we can put some context around it. And the way I like to define artificial intelligence is comparing it to human intelligence. We know with humans we have multiple intelligences, but we look at the ability of the human to learn and to retain information. Now that's a really interesting field because the human really only retains what is relevant to their life. Just imagine yourself going back and doing your final exams at school. And if you were to stop what you're doing right now and go straight over, handed those exam papers and do it right now, the chances of you doing as well or better are pretty slim. Because a lot of that information you may have used, you're not using on a daily basis or weekly basis. So you lose most of that information. And other information that's come into your life that you use more often is more relevant, thus it's retained. That's human intelligence, the ability to learn and retain. That's all we're looking at. Then if we look upon artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is the ability for the computer brain to learn and retain. So if we make that comparison between human and artificial intelligence, the ability to learn and retain, it's quite shocking. Shocking in a positive or negative, depending which way you look at it. And the why it is very, very shocking is the fact that the computer's brain to learn and retain, once it learns, it never forgets and continues to build upon that learning. Human, only retain what's relevant. That's a really important lesson when we're working with humans, kids, adults, etc. is we really need to make life relevant and learning very relevant. Otherwise, we're not retaining a lot of it. Just one side note. But if you compare that artificial intelligence to human intelligence, the learning and retaining, has only increased minimally over the last 100 years. We haven't improved greatly on how we learn and retain. Compare that to artificial intelligence, and they are predicting, some are predicting that within the next 4 to 5 years, human intelligence, learn and retain, will be surpassed by artificial intelligence. And once that artificial intelligence go past human intelligence, it will continue to increase exponentially because it just keeps building upon its learning, building, learning. That's a big challenge for humankind. Because it's really the first time in human history that something else is considered to be more intelligent in one realm of intelligence. That's an interesting one because I work with lots of audiences, and when I work with mainly teachers, and you find that the teaching age, the average age across Australia is around 53 years of age for a teacher. So a lot of your audiences tend to be that Gen X baby boomer audience. And of that, I ask, what's the first movie you think of when you think of artificial intelligence? And the common movies that come out, Terminator, iRobot, AI. And a lot of those movies that we were first introduced to artificial intelligence was through Hollywood and their movie industry. And those movies were very negative. A lot of those movies, the artificial intelligence treated humans like rats, etc. So that can create a fear instinct in a lot of the older generations, Gen X, baby boom and above, because that was our only introduction to artificial intelligence. However, I encourage you to look deeper than that. And I ask a lot of kids around Australia, what do you think of artificial intelligence? And they go, yes, fantastic. Why? Well, I don't have to do the dishes. I don't have to mow the lawn. I don't have to clean up my room. I'm going to have robots doing all that. And I can get on with the fun stuff in life. Now that last thing, the fun stuff, that's something that really excites me when I deal with kids because they're already getting that understanding. that a lot of this artificial intelligence is designed to replace the boring, repetitive, process tasks that humans do. And many humans doing that are bored, drives them mad. They struggle, they deal with anxiety, they deal with depression, etc., because they're doing these repetitive tasks that really can drive a lot of them quite mad. So, if the robots are then trained to do that, it then releases that human to go and do something more interesting. The big challenge for humankind is that this is a very quick change. So there's generations and generations of people who have been used to doing the process repetitive tasks suddenly find themselves competing against a robot. Now, if you were to imagine, one of my favourite books of all time is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I've read it to many different groups of kids and also watched the films and read it to my own kids. I love the movie. But one of the interesting things is Charlie Bucket's dad works on a toothpaste factory, putting lids on tubes of toothpaste as it comes along the production line. So you can imagine if you put a robot right next to Charlie Bucket's father and they did exactly the same task at exactly the same speed, even though they're doing that, that robot is at least 5 times more efficient than your human. You might ask, why? Well, that robot doesn't eat, doesn't sleep. It works 24/7. No sick leave, no annual leave, no RSI, repetitive strain injury, no boredom in their job, no opportunity to take a morning tea break, lunch break. That robot works 24/7 and doesn't understand the meaning of boredom, doesn't understand why it needs to take a break. It just keeps doing the same task over and over. So that's a really important challenge, and one of the biggest challenges facing humankind in this massive change in our world is we are going to have so many machines that will come in and replace those tasks. So humans who have been conditioned to walk into those roles when they've finished school, etc., many of those roles will not exist. So what does the human do? That's a really important thing that we now need to look at. This is why we need to prepare our kids very differently to the world that my generation and older generations might have grown up in, where they left school, trained to do a job, and did that job for the rest of their life. These kids, they are going to have to look at creating their own future, a future that's not competing against a machine that is so much more efficient. The number one factor is we've got to use our mind. And our mind is our strength. And that's the difference between a human and a robot. The robot is trained to do as it's told and do that job more efficiently than a human can do. A human has that mind, that creative mind that can set tasks and deal with situations that most robots in the world could never deal with. So I always like to have that conversation about artificial intelligence and try and remove that fear that Hollywood put into us and look at the opportunities it does create. But only opportunities for those who can reshape the way they think and move towards this new future that involves so much of using the power of our mind and our creativity. Hope you really enjoyed that. Thanks for joining us again on our Creator Kids YouTube channel. If you're not watching this on our YouTube channel, please go to Creator Kids YT and we'd love for you to subscribe. So thanks, have a great day.